There was a time in Nashville when powerful artists tried to take this song away from era, but Jeannie Seely stood her ground today. We are going to uncover the untold story of how Jeannie Seely almost lost her signature hit, Don't Touch Me. Two bigger stars, stronger connections, and behind-the-scenes power plays. It's a story of ambition, sabotage, and ultimately victory. Every great country song has a story behind it. Some are born from heartbreak, others from moments of pure joy, and sometimes they come from love itself. By the mid-1960s, Hank Cochran was already a big name in Nashville. He wasn't just any songwriter, he was one of the best. He had written unforgettable songs for Patsy Cline, Ray Price, and Eddie Arnold. His reputation was solid. But here's the twist. Even the best songwriters hit dry spells, and Hank had hit one. His creativity had slowed down. He needed something or someone to spark that flame again. That spark came when he met Jeannie Seely. Now, Jeannie wasn't a household name yet. She was young, determined, and still chasing her dream in a tough town. Nashville was crowded with singers all fighting for the spotlight. But Jeannie had something different. Her voice carried both strength and vulnerability. And when Hank saw her perform, he recognized raw, unpolished talent, the kind that couldn't be manufactured in a studio. But for Hank, it wasn't just professional admiration. He felt something deeper. He was falling in love. And from that feeling, words began to flow. One night, in the middle of that whirlwind of emotions, Hank picked up his guitar and wrote a song, a haunting, intimate ballad that spoke of desire and restraint. He called it Don't Touch Me. This wasn't just another tune he planned to pitch around town. No, this one was different. This one was personal. It was written for Jeannie, about Jeannie, and meant to be sung by Jeannie. When Hank finally played it for her and their friend Porter Wagoner was clear, he didn't just want her to sing it. He wanted her to own it. Now, here's where the story really starts too. Heat Up. Hank Cochran was proud of his new creation. He knew Don't Touch Me wasn't just another song, it had magic in it. So, naturally, he wanted to share it with people he respected. One of those people was none other than Buck Owens. At this point in the 1960s, Buck Owens was at the very top of his game, with his signature Bakersfield sound-sharp guitars, a driving beat. And that unmistakable twang. He was rewriting what country music could be. He wasn't just popular, he was dominating the charts, pulling in hit after hit. To put it simply, Buck Owens was a country music superstar, and when Hank played him the song, Buck immediately wanted it. Think about that for a second. One of the biggest stars in the business looks at you and says, "I'll take it." For most songwriters in Nashville, that would be the golden ticket. Buck Owens recording your song meant airplay, money, and prestige. Most people would have handed it over in a heartbeat. But Hank Cochran wasn't most people. He shook his head and told Buck flat out, "You can't have it. It's already Jeannie's." And Buck, well, he didn't like that answer. His response was cold, cutting, and dripping with arrogance. "Who the heck is Jeannie Seely?" That one sentence summed up the brutal truth of Nashville in the 60s. If you weren't already famous, you were invisible. But here's the thing, Jeannie Seely wasn't going to stay invisible for long. If Buck Owens was just a roadblock, what came next was a full-on ambush. Enter Owen Bradley. Now, Bradley wasn't just any producer. He was the powerhouse of Nashville. The man practically was the Nashville sound. He had shaped the careers of legends like Patsy Cline, Brenda Lee, and Loretta Lynn. His word carried weight in the studios, at the labels, and on radio. If Owen Bradley wanted something to happen, chances are it happened. And when it came to Don't Touch Me, Bradley had other plans. He didn't see Jeannie Seely as the right fit. She was still too new, too untested. Instead, he had another singer in mind, Wilma Burgess. Wilma was already signed to Decca Records. She was polished, established, and in Bradley's eyes, a safer bet. She had the connections, the label backing, and the machine to push her forward. Compared to Jeannie, Wilma looked like the marketable choice. So what did Bradley do? He made a move that shocked everyone. He rushed Wilma Burgess into the studio, recorded her version of Don't Touch Me, and sent it out to radio stations at lightning speed. The plan was simple. If Wilma's version hit the airwaves first, Jeannie's version would get buried. Out of sight, out of mind. It was a calculated move, cold, ruthless. The kind of behind-the-scenes power play that defined Nashville in those days, and the scary part, for a moment, it almost worked. Now picture this. Two versions of the same song, racing each other to the charts. On one side, Jeannie Seely, underdog with no big label backing, but with Hank Cochran in her corner and a voice full of raw emotion. On the other, Wilma Burgess, supported by Decca Records and one of the most powerful producers in the entire industry. Who do you think had the advantage? If you said Wilma would be right, at least on paper. But here's the thing about music. You can't fake soul when Jeannie's version hit the airwaves. Listeners immediately felt it. Her delivery wasn't just technical, it was emotional. It was vulnerable. It was real, and a connected dot, her record shot up the Billboard country chart, climbing all the way to no. 2. And guess what song was sitting at no. 1, blocking her from the top? Yep, Buck Owens, the very man who had sneered, "Who the heck is Jeannie Seely? Talk about ornery." Meanwhile, Wilma Burgess's version barely made a ripple. The audience had spoken now. Hank Cochran always believed that the sabotage, the attempt to rush another version, cost Jeannie a no. 1 hit. And maybe it did, but in the end, Jeannie got something even better. In 1967, Jeannie Seely won the Grammy Award for Best Female Country Vocal Performance for Don't Touch Me. Let that sink in. A song that nearly got stolen from her became the very song that made her a Grammy-winning artist. This wasn't just a win for Jeannie. It was a statement. It proved that Nashville's power players could try to control the game, but real talent paired with the right song could break through. From that moment on, Jeannie Seely wasn't a nobody. She was a Grammy winner, a respected artist, a woman who had stood her ground and won. Now let's pause for a second and really think about what this story tells us about Nashville in the 1960s. On the surface, it looked like a dream. Bright lights, the Grand Ole Opry, hit records spinning on jukeboxes across America. To fans, it was all glitz, music, and stardom. But behind that shiny curtain, it was cutthroat in Nashville. Songs weren't just pieces of music, they were currency. Whoever owned the songs had the real power. They decided which artists got airplay, which careers skyrocketed, and which voices were silenced. If you were a producer like Owen Bradley, you could pull the strings and decide who recorded the next big hit. If you were a superstar like Buck Owens, you could walk into a room, demand a song, and usually walk out with it. That's how the system worked. But if you were new, like Jeannie Seely, you didn't have that power. You had to fight for every chance, every performance, every song. The odds were stacked against you. That's why Jeannie's win with Don't Touch Me wasn't just about chart success. It was proof that the system wasn't unbeatable, that sometimes heart and determination could outshine power and politics. Decades later, Don't Touch Me is still remembered as Jeannie Seely's signature song. It's the track that introduced her to the world, the one that made people pay attention, and here's the best part. The very people who tried to push her aside, Buck Owens, Owen Bradley, Wilma Burgess, they all became side notes in her story. The song didn't just survive the sabotage, it thrived, it lived on, and it carried Jeannie into the history books today. Seely is celebrated not just as a Grammy winner, but as a pioneer for women in country music. A Grand Ole Opry legend, a voice that inspired generations, and it all started with one song, a song that almost slipped away. Looking back, the irony is almost poetic. The industry tried to take Don't Touch Me from Jeannie Seely, but in trying to steal it, they only made her victory sweeter. She didn't just record the song, she owned it. Her voice carried an ache that couldn't be duplicated, not even by a singer with more backing or better connections. And that's the lesson here. In the world of music, and maybe in life, power and connections can only take you so far. Authenticity, that's what lasts. Jeannie Seely's journey with Don't Touch Me reminds us of one simple truth. When a song is truly yours, no one, not even the biggest names in the business, can take it away, because when Jeannie Seely sings, she doesn't just perform, she lives the song. And no amount of Nashville politics could ever steal that from her. So, what do you think? Did Jeannie Seely's fight for Don't Touch Me change the course of country music history? Do you believe she would have still found success without this song? And here's the big one. Should artists always fight to keep what's theirs, no matter the odds? Share your thoughts in the comments. Hit like if you enjoyed this story. And don't forget to subscribe for more country music secrets.